What's going on, family? Today was actually my first interview with my CDL license, and yeah, it didn't go as I planned it to go. I was just nervous. I fumbled a little bit. The guys were like watching me like that. I'm like, God damn, man. How it is when you become a truck driver? Everybody just watching you like that. But it actually was a flatbed company, and they do lumber. If you can see behind me, they do lumber. They transport all this stuff, send it out to construction and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna get in the car and I'm gonna explain to you guys how this interview went by. Let's see. You think I got the job? Let me explain to you. I'm gonna talk to you guys. All right, you guys, I'm trying to get onto this traffic. But yes, you guys see the topic. You guys see the title. Just left my little job interview. And if today's your first day watching my video and you're not caught up to speed, we need 1,000 subscribers by October 1st, 2022. How can you help the campaign? Easy. Subscribe to the channel, binge watch all my videos, like, comment, and also let your mama know, your daddy know, your grandma know, your sister, your brother, your auntie, your uncle, your co-worker, let the pastor know, let the lady at the grocery store know, let the truck driver at the gas station know that this is the #1 freight broker, transportation, truck driver, just got my CDL Class A, woo! Video vlogger in the world. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That's how you can help us reach our 1,000 subscribers by October 1st, 2022. With that out the way, guys, yeah, I went to my first job interview. It was at 10 o'clock. Got there early, got my nice little attire. You know what I mean? I walked in there. They thought I was trying to become a laborer or whatever you want to call it. I'm like, nah. I'm gonna turn the AC on a little bit. I said, nah, I'm a truck driver. I got a CDL license, CDL Class A. You know what I'm saying? I got a CDL Class A. Oh man, I think I'm gonna miss my, come on guys, let me go through. Sorry, hold on. I ain't never been this side of town. They said this is the way to 75. All right, but anyways, so walked in there, waited for the guy. The guy was actually like 15 minutes late because there's like 2 different departments. And they're like, all right, yeah, there's an interview for a new truck driver with the woo. So I met the guy. Actually, backstory is how I met the guy was at the job that I was working at. You know what I mean? Around November, I was like, you know what? Eventually, I want to get my Class A license to help grow the freight brokerage. You know what I mean? That was the main reason why I wanted to get my Class A license, so we can be able to make some money while the freight brokerage is paying his bill, doing what it's supposed to be doing. I'm making money, a lot of money, and we can be able to buy trucks. So we can eventually become asset based. And that's why it was the main reason why I wanted to get my CDL Class A license. So I'm not stuck working at a 9 to 5 that's paying me by pennies, literally, and I can barely pay my bills and then stress about what's going on over here. I'm actually able not only to pay my bills, but able to save money. It's not, you know what I mean? You want to get a job that you can save money and pay your bills and live comfortably. You know what I mean? So whatever you got to do, if you got to get a trade, if you got to get a retraining, if you got to get your license, whatever you got to do, if you got to change careers, you got to figure it out. The job I'm at right now, for what I want to do in the next 5 years, is it going to help me or is it going to hurt me? You know what I mean? And then once you get that decision, you can figure it out. Should I change careers? Should I try to get a promotion? Or should I start looking and getting back into school? So with this guy, my wife, she works for a builder. And one of these builders were dropping off roof trusses, right, at one of her locations. And she likes to help out. My wife helps me out a lot. She goes out and speaks to truck drivers, get more information, and then she feeds me while I'm online looking up information. So my wife's a big major supporter when it comes to me becoming a truck driver, and I'm very grateful for that. And she actually reached out. She talked to one of the drivers that was dropping off a roof trusses at one of her homes that her builder is making. And she asked him, and the guy was nice enough to give my wife the information, the phone number for me to reach out, which I did. I ended up calling the guy in November, and I said, hey, listen, I'm getting my CDL Class A license in January. He's like, all right, well, get your license first, and then we can talk. I'm like, well, okay, yeah, cool. Well, how much am I going to get paid? He's like, get your license first, and then we can talk. So God works in mysterious ways. God helped me to be able to get the funding for me to pay for my Class A CDL license. And also, exactly like I had said that I was gonna get my license in January, I got my license in January. So it's the first time I met this guy, plus the location manager. Because this guy, he works remotely. He works throughout the the part of where I live at, from like a 150-mile radius, where he managed a plant or a location, and then he also is like a recruiter for the driver's side. And it was great to see him in person. We've been talking over the phone since November, so it's like we already knew each other. So we started talking, asked me the simple question. I got there, okay, I'm a truck driver. And another cool thing about being a truck driver is that you get a lot of options. Another cool thing, when you have your own business, you have a lot of options, man. You can pick. You don't have to content to something that you already know is not going to work out for you. You know what I mean? You don't have to settle for anything below than what you're really worth. And in this industry, this trucking industry, there's no such thing as settle. It's a $700 billion industry. So why should you settle to get pennies? Think about that. Let that settle in your mind. Why should you settle to work for a company that's going to barely pay you what you're worth, and then work you like a dog at the same time? So came here, talked to him. He asked me one question. He asked me was, hey, so with your experience, have you ever been in a situation where a customer had got mad and was upset with you, and if you have, were you able to de-escalate the situation, and how did you de-escalate the situation? And I kind of explained to him, I work in the construction industry, so we get a lot of that, right? We get angry plant managers, we get angry foremen, superintendents that come through, we get angry co-workers, all type of stuff. And I told him, I was like, yeah, well, it was one situation where, I was pouring out a slab, and my foreman was upset with the concrete driver, that concrete driver felt like he was unsafe to park his truck, and all the blah swahs, and I was able to de-escalate the situation where we were able to move forward with the process. And they were amazed, true story, they were very amazed, happy. And then it came to this point where that's when everything went. So it came to the point where he asked me, so what equipment did you use when you're going to school? And I told him I was in a 53-foot drive van trailer pulling on an automatic truck. And he was like, automatic? I'm like, yeah, automatic. And he's like, so you have a restriction on your license? And I'm like, yeah. And for you guys that don't know, when you go to school to become a truck driver, you can get there's two classes. Either you get an automatic class or you get a manual class. Now, if you get a manual class, the manual class is the stick shift. They teach how to drive a stick shift truck. And in my state, you have to double clutch to get to whatever gear you got to go. You can't coast. So if you don't know what double clutch is, you basically, if you're in the first gear and you need to get to the second gear, you got to clutch to get out of the second gear, then clutch again to get on the third gear. And you got to do all that on one motion smoothly. You don't want to stall the gears. You don't want to coast the truck. So you got to clutch to get out of first gear, then clutch to get in second gear, and then keep on moving. So that's double clutching. But I didn't take that. I went to automatic class because I just wanted to push buttons. You know what I'm saying? I go to reverse, I push the button. I want to drive, I push the button. And we got it on. You know what I'm saying? And another thing too, with the manual, when you're shifting, if you're going over a railroad crossing, you cannot shift. The reason being is if you shift, like let's say you're on 4th gear and you're going to shift to 5, you need to coast that railroad crossing until your tractor and trailer have went over the railroad crossing, then you can shift to the 5th gear. Because let's say, for instance, you shift while you're crossing railroad and you stalled the engine and there's a train coming. See, there's a lot of dangers and hazards. There's a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to having a manual license. So now I was this close to getting the manual, taking the manual course, but I got lucked out and went to the automatic course because they opened up. But when you get an automatic license, you have a restriction, meaning you can't drive manual. Now, if you have a manual license, you can drive manual or automatic. Automatic is real simple, okay? But if you have an automatic license, meaning you pass your school in an automatic truck, then you are not allowed to get a manual license until, or you have to retake the school, or you call the school up and ask the school and say, hey, listen, I just passed. Is there any way I can pay whatever the difference is to take the test again, but in a manual truck? So there's a lot of stuff you have to do. And unfortunately, they're like, well, all our trucks are manual. And I know it's 2022. Every company has an automatic truck. But not all companies, depending on what type of work that you're doing, use automatic trucks. So here's a little token for you guys. If you are going to go to get your license, figure out what you're trying to do. If you're trying to go over the road, work with refrigerated loads or drive-in loads, then automatic all the way, because majority of those companies, those truck companies, have automatics. But if you're more in the construction side and you're dealing with flatbeds and wide loads, heavy loads, you know you're gonna be driving in sugar sand, or you know you're gonna be driving in rough terrain, other than pavements or driveway or pavement or concrete, whatever the case may be, then the manual are a better selection for you because you have more torque power and you have more control of your gears. So if you're driving in a sugar sand and you got to get to a place where you got to drop off that load, you can drive in a low gear and get across that sand. With the automatic, if you drive through a sugar sand, the truck is not going to stay on a low gear. The truck's going to move how it moves, and you have more of a chance of getting stuck, and a lot of other stuff happens. So figure out what lane you're trying to do and use that judgment to see what course you need to take. Now, if it's up to me, if you never drove in stick shift before, get your automatic license, get your experience, and then go back and get your manual. Hey, if you fail the manual course, it's very tough. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The manual course is a lot more challenging than it is with the automatic course. But if you fail your manual test, guess what? You already have your Class A CDL license. You can always do it again. But if it's your first time doing the manual course and you never drove stick shift in your life and you failed, you're gonna have to do it all over again. So there's just stuff that you gotta think to yourself. And like they said, all their trucks are manual because of the type of work that they do. And I was like, dang, they really liked me. They were telling me how much I would have been a great fit. You know what I mean? I just got my license, and they're actually looking for new drivers because these bougie carriers, like I be telling you guys, I'm not the only one that felt like this, right? These bougie carriers that been having 5 years, 10 years, 3 years over the road have a habit of having bad techniques that they bring into these local jobs. And this guy was telling me, the recruiter and the manager was saying how they experience with bougie carriers that come to the company and they try to change the way of things at the company. You know, every company have their own system, and the number one thing to get you fired if you come into a company and you want to change how they run their company. Because you've been driving for 10 years. I didn't drive for 15 years. I know what I'm doing. Oh, I don't gotta safely do that. I can do it like this. Y'all bougie. They're trying to get rid of y'all bougie truck drivers. And he's like, you're very green, but we're looking for green drivers because we can teach you how we operate. Because when you're brand new, you're more willing to learn than someone who's been driving for 6-10 years. Trust me, I run across them every day. They don't want to learn. They feel comfortable where they at. So that was the issue. They told me, they're like, hey, listen, we will hire you today. But being that you have an automatic license, which is a manual restriction, we can't hire you because all our trucks are manual. And they did order 2 brand new automatic trucks, but they already took in. I guess the drivers that they already have are already getting placed in those trucks. And he was telling me he's been fighting the company to not get automatic trucks because it's going to cause more issues for them for the type of work that they do down the line. And I was like, all right. He's like, the best thing you can do is get in contact with the school, see how much it's going to be for you to go there and take the manual. Now, I did not ask them, hey, if I do that, is there any way I can get a tuition reimbursement from you guys? Is that something we can work out of? I didn't ask that, but for you guys, I'm giving you that tip. If for some reason you have a automatic license and you have a manual restriction on your license, don't be afraid to ask these companies that want to hire you. Don't be afraid to ask them, because you remember, you have one of the biggest licenses in the country. You know what I mean? When it comes to doctors, lawyers, engineers, whatever you want to say, truck drivers have one of the biggest licenses in the country. And be proud of that. Be proud of having a CDL Class A license. Don't be afraid to ask them, say, hey, if I go ahead and do that, is there somewhere we can work out tuition reimbursement? Since you guys want me that bad, I'm willing to go ahead and take that extra step to go back to school to relearn, to get the right requirements that your company wants, but with a company giving me a tuition reimbursement. And that was called leverage. You got to have leverage in this world, you know what I mean? In this game, have leverage, and you learn how to use your leverage wisely. And that goes with the brokerage, you know what I mean? If you're in the game for 2 or 3 years and you got lows, you got jobs, don't let these bougie carriers boss you around. You have the leverage. Learn how to use your leverage. With that being said, I'm on my way back to the office. I got to check some emails, get some leads going, and I appreciate you guys watching this video. I appreciate you guys watching this journey. I have other interviews, so this is my first interview. Felt good. They really liked me. Like I said, if I had the manual license, I would have been hired today. But don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. If it's your first time watching this video, please subscribe to the channel. This is going to be the #1 YouTube video vlogger channel. I can't wait till we hit our 1,000 subscribers. We're gonna have a big party. We're gonna celebrate. And we're gonna reminisce where we came from, where we are right now. I'm gonna holler at you guys. Brokers Talk. Let's go.